welcome back to the channel. First of all, thank you very much for joining me. A few weeks ago, my wife and I spent 2 weeks out in Botswana on a safari, which we took out through a company called Explore. And I have to say, it was really, really excellent. Highly recommended. Took us to several game reserves, to the Anker River, and also up to Victoria Falls. Now, as you can imagine, this provided a whole load of photography opportunities. I'm going to be making a video about various aspects of this trip in the coming weeks, so please look out for that. And if you don't already subscribe and you're interested, then please do subscribe. What I wanted to do with this video was talk to you about one of the most important pieces of equipment that I took with us for this trip. Now, of course, you might think that's the camera. Well, of course, the camera was very, very important. I took two main cameras. One is the Nikon Z8, which I'm recording this video on, and that camera I had the Z 24-70 f2.8 lens, which I took specifically really for landscape opportunities. But of course, the majority of the trip was to look for wildlife and photograph wildlife. And for that, I took my Nikon Z9 and I had the 100-400, the Z 100-400 lens. And I have to say, this proved an ideal what's the word I'm looking for? It's the combination, the right combination. The reason being, quite often with the animals, I had to zoom back out to the 100mm lens because they were big animals and quite close to us. But obviously 400mm gave a reasonably good range. I did take also the 1.4 times teleconverter, which I used on just a couple of occasions when we were doing bird photography from a boat running up the Anker River. But mainly I just used this as my main camera. I supplemented this, as I said, with the Z8, but also for video I used my GoPro Hero 9, which I've had a couple of years ago now, and it's proving excellent, very useful little tool. And the other camera, funnily enough, was my iPhone, iPhone 12 Max Pro, which I've had for 3 years now. And I use an application on here for recording video, which is called Filmic Pro, which gives me 10-bit raw video. Right, so why are these not the most important bits of equipment? Well, for 7 days we were under canvas, and that meant we were completely devoid of any mains power. So obviously charging batteries was going to be very, very important. Now, I did take with me a spare battery for each. Now, the Nikon Z9 uses a very large battery. It's the EL18D, and these cost £180 each as spare batteries. Obviously the camera came with one. I bought one spare, and what I did find was that these give, with the Z9, very, very good performance in terms of the number of shots you can take per day. In fact, the first 2 days I didn't bother to recharge at all, and I still didn't use the spare. On the Z8, the smaller EL15Cs, less expensive and obviously very commonly used with Z9, Z6, etc. The beauty of both of these batteries, and of course with the cameras, is that you can recharge through the USB port, and that's where these important devices came in, namely PowerBanks. And I took with us on this trip 4 PowerBanks. The one was a fairly old one I've got now, which I used purely to recharge both my iPhone and my wife's iPhone. But for charging the cameras, that particular power bank didn't give the type of power delivery that's required for charging through the Z9 or Z8, but these do. I took actually 2 models. I had 2, first of all, which are called the Anker 525s. And the beauty of these is they were only, well, in fact, the first one cost me £46. And I bought that back in the summer. And then I thought, I might need another one. And I noticed there was a special offer. So the second one cost me just £38. Now, these are remarkably good value because each of these will charge one of those at least 4 times. So that meant I had plenty of capacity. The other Anker device I took was the Anker 737. Now, this was a more expensive device. This cost actually £166 when I bought it. In truth, I wonder why I did buy it, because again, it didn't actually give me any more charging time than the less expensive 525s. It does have an extra USB-C port on it, and various other little, I presume, added extras internally. But for what I needed, quite frankly, I could have got away quite happily with 3 of these at around the £40–45 mark each. And as I say, they were invaluable. So I was able to charge up my cameras each night in the tent, and when we finished the 7 nights, I still had at least half full capacity on one of these devices. So if you're planning a trip where you might find the potential to recharge your cameras to be risky, shall we say, then I would highly recommend these Anker PowerBanks. As I say, there is the 525 and the 757, or 737, I beg your pardon. And of course also you do need a charger unit to go with it, which I also have. But highly recommended. They certainly give the power delivery needed for cameras like the Nikon Z9 and the Z8. I hope you found this useful. If so, please give it a like. And as I said before, if you haven't already subscribed and you want to see the upcoming Botswana videos, then please subscribe. Thank you so much for your time watching. Bye for now.